The meeting's not starting for a little bit. Y'all can keep talking. It's okay. It got eerily quiet in here.
Meeting. Our meeting begins at 6:15, and before we kick it off, we are going to see a short video that's going to show you some of the amazing learning opportunities that have been happening in Belton ISD, even though it's summer. So please direct your eyes to the screens. This summer, Belton ISD students have been doing camps on reading, writing, gifted and talented, STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, humanities, and some bilingual camps. And so that was our showcase for this evening. Thank you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening and for your interest in Belton ISD. I hope you've enjoyed seeing the snapshot of some of the amazing learning opportunities that are happening in our summer programs so far this summer. The time is now 6:16. Don't tell Manuel I'm now late by a minute, 2 meetings in a row. And the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees are now convened in a regular board meeting on Monday, June 17th. 2024 at Hubbard Branch Elementary School, first ever at this location, 1651 OT Tyler Drive, Belton, Texas, 76513. For those of you who don't recognize me, at least in this chair, my name is Chris Floor. The quorum of board members is present, except our president is not with us today. So Manuel Lockloser is not with us, so I'll be taking you through the meeting today. This meeting has been duly called, and notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. I want to welcome the members of our audience and our live stream viewers to this meeting. As the Belton Independent School District Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees held in public, not a public meeting. Prior to this meeting, board members received information related to items on tonight's agenda. Agenda items may not necessarily be handled in the order that they're listed on the notice. This meeting is open to all who wish to attend and to hear the matters discussed. These proceedings are being live streamed on the district's YouTube channel and will be available for review in the days following tonight's meeting. For the video to adequately reflect the proceedings, I respectfully ask that you refrain from talking while others are speaking and that cell phones are turned off or in the silent mode. Please rise for a moment of silent prayer or meditation. All right, thank you. Please remain standing as our students from Tarver Elementary lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and honors to the Texas flag.
Thank you, board. Allow me to introduce Olivia Lovett and Cooper Moley.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, you may be seated. Let's give a hand to our two applause givers there. You all did a great job. All right. Let's see. The first item on the agenda this evening is recognitions. Probably the most important thing that we're doing, right? We're celebrating the great stuff that's going on in Belton ISD. So we're going to turn it over to the communications team to get us started off.
All right, board, if I could have you come down here and stand in front of this monitor. Students, y'all are going to be called up in groups, and you're going to have your photo taken with the board, and then you'll go back to your seat, and we ask that you stay until we've concluded all of our recognitions, and then you're dismissed by the board. So our first two recognitions are our pledge students. So if I could have Olivia and Cooper stand. Y'all can go over there to the middle. So Cooper likes science because he enjoys learning about life. When he's not in school, he enjoys playing baseball and hanging out with his family. His friends say he's funny, nice, and silly. And Olivia's favorite subjects in school are reading and math, and she loves spending time with her family when she's not in school. And her friends say that she is kind, smart, and caring. And they did a fantastic job tonight. Our next recognition, again, is our summer programs. We'll go through this quickly, board, but I did want to point out some interesting numbers. This year, we had 850 elementary students participate in our summer programs, 200 middle school students, and almost 500 high school students. So that's a lot of enrichment happening this summer. Next, we are very pleased to have our Lake Belton High School state solo and ensemble state finalists come up here. They are under the direction of Jenna Burchell, and they represented Belton ISD and Lake Belton at state, and that's incredible, and we're very proud of them. Congratulations, guys. Next, we have a long list of students that earned academic all-state recognitions this year. We have baseball. We have one student from baseball, Belton High School. Come on up here. And now we have Lake Belton High School baseball. Come on up, guys. Academic all-state. We have academic all-state softball from Lake Belton High School. Congratulations, guys. Belton High School, academic all-state softball. Come on up here. Congratulations. All right, now we have academic all-state golfers from Lake Belton High School. Congratulations. Okay. Can we go to the next slide, please? Next slide. There we go. We have academic all-state track from Belton High School. Okay. And next slide, please. And next slide, please. We have very proud to have students that advanced to state from Lake Belton High School. They advanced to the state golf tournament. It's summer. A lot of our students are traveling and not here, so no golf. Now we have the softball program from Lake Belton High School. They are the 5A state semifinalists and regional champions, the Lady Bronco softball team. Their coach is Kelsey McCarron. Yeah, jump up there. And coach, we're going to ask that you stay up there because you have been named the Texas Girls Coaches Association Coach of the Year for 5A and 6A. Oh. We are proud to celebrate tonight the tennis players who advanced to state from Lake Belton High School. They're coached by Nikki Morgan. Come on up here. Next, we are very proud tonight to have with us students that qualified for state in track. We have Kendrick Jones and Abigail Rydberg. Jones earned back-to-back state titles in the 200-meter dash and added a gold medal in long jump to his achievements this year. And Rydberg placed 7th in the pole vault. They're coached by Brandon Bird and Shelby Jackson. Congratulations. And this year, this is the first year that Belton ISD has had a barbecue team from Belton High School. They advanced to nationals, and we want to recognize that we have Juan Jimenez and John Hernandez, pitmasters. They're industry partners that are with us tonight. At nationals, they earned 5th place in chicken, 8th place in chili, and 3rd place in tri-tip. And they placed out of 24 other schools. Congratulations, guys. Yeah. We had 2 students advance to academic all-state. Oh, no, I'm sorry, academic UIL and computer applications and writing. And they both placed 3rd. Congratulations. And we are very proud tonight to honor our students that graduated from the Texas Bioscience Institute. We had students from Belton High School and Lake Belton High School earn this prestigious honor. Congratulations. And we sent 2 students to the National History Day competition. They did extremely well. We had a student from Lake Belton High School and a student from Belton High School. They represented us all the way at nationals. Congratulations, guys. And next, we're going to have our department showcase. Tonight, we're recognizing our facilities, grounds, and integrated pest management groups. First up is going to be our facilities. They're led by Mr. Randy Marek. This includes 19 staff members, and we wanted to celebrate them tonight because they've worked really, really hard to help our community get cleaned up after the storms last month. Next is grounds, and they are led by Patrick Crosby. And there are 14 of them, and they have also done a lot of work following the storms, a lot of trees down, limbs down, and we really appreciate their hard work. Next up is Belton ISD's Integrated Pest Management Team, and they are led by Kenneth Wilson. One of the kindest people in Belton ISD. Next, it is my pleasure to recognize our new Belton ISD administrators. First up, we have Ashley Thomas. She is the new principal at Charter Oak Elementary. And Miss Lexi Newberry is the new principal at Leon Heights Elementary. Sydney Sewell is the new principal at Chisholm Trail Elementary. And Dominic White is the new principal at North Belton Middle School. Congratulations. Megan Crook is the principal at Belton Middle School. And Dr. Levi Moses is the new Director of Student Services. Our community partner recognition this evening, we're really proud to recognize Johnny's Cleaners. They've been in Belton since 1949, and we're celebrating them because many of you may not know that they help our graduates get their caps and gowns pressed at no charge. And coming off a huge celebration like graduation, I just thought it was appropriate to say thank you for all they do for Belton ISD. All right, that's it.
As the board's coming back up, if you will please join me in celebrating, like we have amazing students in Belton ISD, and tonight we recognize them not only for their athletic ability, which you see we have state qualifiers. They're incredible athletes. They're also incredible students, and we recognize them for their academic performance as well as amazing. I mean, we have Coach of the Year in our midst right here, and we got recognized for chicken. Like, that is awesome. So congratulations to everybody. Please join me in congratulating our students and staff. Okay, and yes, our coach made me cry. So she just gave me this amazing framed picture of our girls. I was at their last game, and they did such a good job, and I'm so proud of them. And I thank you for that. I will treasure that. So thank you.
All right, so many awesome things going on. Let's have another round of applause for our students and our world-class employees and our community partners. All right, so now that recognitions have concluded, we're going to take a short break to dismiss students and families from the recognition portion of the agenda. Although you are certainly welcome to stay with us for the rest of the evening if you want to hear what's going on, but you won't hurt my feelings either way. So we'll take just a quick break here and let you guys move if you need to. All right, it looks like we scared everybody away. All right, next on the agenda are public comments. In according with policy BEDC local, we will take public comments regarding items on the agenda at the beginning of the meeting, and comments regarding non-agenda items will be heard later on in the meeting towards closer to the end of the meeting to allow board to conduct the business of the district. Becca, do we have any additional public comment meeting? No? Okay. So I have one form, and it looks to be a non-agenda item. So we're going to hold that for the second public comment period, kind of based on how we lay this out. All right. So seeing that there are no public comments on agenda items, we are going to move on to action items. So starting with item A, consider, discuss, and take appropriate action regarding the 2024-2025 compensation plan.
Board, Todd Schiller, our Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, is coming to the podium. He's going to present this evening a recommendation for employee compensation.
Is that on? There we go. So good evening, board. Tonight we are recommending a salary increase, a compensation plan for the 24-25 school year. It would equate to a $600 to $970 increase depending on years of experience for teachers, and a 1% increase for all other staff based on the midpoint of the range that they are sitting on. As you know, we've been engaged in many different budget conversations, as well as kind of outlining different compensation scenarios to consider as well. And so while this isn't the increase that we were hoping to provide or would like to provide or that our staff are deserving of, we do feel like providing an increase helps with retention, helps with individuals feeling valued. And we also know that the health insurance rates are going to be increasing as well. And it's really to kind of help offset some of the costs associated with the health increases that we know are coming as well. So again, the recommendation tonight is for a 1% increase for all staff members based on midpoint range, and then a $600 to $970 increase depending on years of experience for teachers.
All right, board, are there any questions for Mr. Schiller? No? All right, do we have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 compensation plan as presented? All right, I see Mr. Preston and Mr. Norwood. All right, is there any additional discussion before we get to a vote? Mr. Norwood.
Yeah, I would just, like to go on the record. I don't speak for the board, but I think I know how the board feels. And I feel like a broken record. We said this exact same thing last year when we gave a raise that we didn't feel was enough. And we were certain that the state legislature was going to give us more money and we were going to come back midterm and hopefully add more. And that didn't happen. And with the budget squeezes that everybody's feeling, this is the best that we can do. We're not happy about it. As soon as the state starts funding, we will do everything we can to get our teachers, our staff across the board up to where we think they should be. And like I said, I don't speak for the board, but it's not enough, but it is all we can do right now.
Any additional comments? All right. Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand. So I see 6. That means nobody can be opposed. Any opposed? We'll just take it. All right. No abstain. All right. So 6-0-0. Thank you, Todd.
Okay, and yes, thank you, Todd, for all the work that he puts in annually to looking at compensation. And again, thank you to the board. Again, we recognize that our teachers and our staff certainly deserve more and appreciate your consideration of a pay raise in light of the budget shortfalls that we're facing, not just here in Belton, but across our state. So thank you.
All right, so that concludes our action items for the evening. So next on the agenda is reports. We're going to start out with a May 2024 weather damage assessment report.
Yes, thank you, board. Mike Morgan, our deputy superintendent, is coming to the podium. As did our entire community. We certainly were not immune to the damages of the May storm. And so we've prepared a brief report for you so that we can highlight some of the things that we're facing, areas of concern, and steps we're taking.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Floor and board. It's my pleasure to be here tonight and tell you kind of the state of where we are and kind of what comes next in this process. So I want to talk about, just like most of our community, the causes of our damage were very similar. We actually had a series of storms. We had the Mother's Day storm in mid-May, and we had some damage from that storm. And then obviously the events there on May 22nd that caused the most considerable damage around the area. We saw lots of hail activity in some areas of the district, straight line winds. Due to the high amounts of rain and the rapidness of which the rain came, watched some water intrusion and leaks, and then obviously in the West Temple area, the F2 tornado that impacted a lot of our neighborhoods and to a lesser extent our schools. Are we? Okay, there we go. The areas of concern, we've been in about a 3.5 week state of evaluation. And I will kind of talk about our major areas of concern. And these are some of the areas where the cost from damages can pile up the most quickly. Roofs and HVAC systems, and I'll talk a little more on next steps on kind of where we are with those. I will say from the start, I want to echo what was brought up during the recognitions, and that was that we had facility staff, many of whom were on our campuses that night of the storm, checking things out. I know we had a coach at Lake Belton High School that had the water extraction machine getting water off the gym floor that had leaked in that night. Had our grounds team out early the next morning, along with our facilities guys, assessing damage, starting the cleanup process, trying to figure out, where our priorities lied, and then also our community partners and the restoration companies that came in and helped us clean up some of the water intrusion and leakage. But roofs and HVAC systems really and truly are the biggest concern, because those are the things that can pile up the damage and losses the quickest. I will report that as of right now, we feel really good about where we are. HVAC systems, it appears that the damage was minimal. We're still in an assessment, or it's a little bit more difficult to assess right now because our buildings are empty. So we don't have people in every classroom every day, but we're constantly in assessment on our HVAC systems. You do see a picture there of a couple of rooftop units that overturned. We did have some damage to a couple of the rooftop units at Burrell, but overall, we feel very confident that we missed a lot of the maximum damage that we could have seen to our HVAC systems. Roof systems, starting the next day, and then we have had considerable rain since the event on the 22nd. Starting the next day, we had facilities team members on roofs, spot checking, trying to find out areas of potential damage, doing patching, small time patching where we could. I'll report that tonight we don't feel that we have a total fail of any roof system. We have had some continuous, pretty significant leakage in our transportation facility that will need to be addressed this summer. And then we have had some leakage in the choir and the small theater area at BHS that is going to need to be addressed. But we don't feel like at this point, we feel like we have a roof system fail anywhere. We are going to have, we've had an assessment of our staff. We've also had some of our consultants on roofs checking them out. We're going to have a comprehensive roof analysis within the next 10 days, where we're going to walk every roof and make sure that we don't have more significant damage or long-term damage to a roof. And we'll examine insurance or warranty claims at that point. But right now, we saw heavy rain last Wednesday, and we didn't see any new areas of concern that we had not seen in previous storms. So that's a good sign. And so we're hoping for good news from that assessment, and I'll be able to report back more to you within a week or two on what the results of that were. White fleet vehicles, really the majority of our white fleet damage was at the first storm, the Mother's Day storm. We had 14 or 15 of our white fleet vehicles at transportation and in our facilities and grounds departments that had what we considered substantial damage, that we will want to make a claim to go ahead and get those dents repaired. In some cases, windshields broken and things of that nature. So we kind of balance that on the age of the vehicle, what purpose it's used for, and then how much the significance of the damage was. So that's one of our bigger concerns right now, because they don't go on the overall impact towards insurance, they're on a vehicle by vehicle basis for claim. Athletic fencing and batting cages. If you just drive around the district, the most substantial damage was to some of our athletic facilities and batting cages. So at Belton High School, the most significant was the baseball batting cage area was a total loss. It was actually almost came completely down with the first storm and then came completely down with the second storm. So that's going to be a total loss on that facility. And then significant damage to the shared batting cages at Belton High School. And then the center field fence at the softball field, some of the fencing at the baseball field, and then some of the fencing at the tennis courts at Lake Belton High School as well. We also had a pretty significant wind exposure for our lighting on our athletic facilities and in some of our parking lots. So we're in the process of getting estimates on those to see either readjusting those that just need to be readjusted because they've been moved around by the wind, or which ones were damaged and may need repair or replacement. And then also some of our exterior cameras were damaged with either high winds or flying debris at some of our campuses. So as we've worked through this process, those are the four biggest categories of damage that we've seen to this point. But I will reiterate, our roofs and HVAC systems, we feel extremely fortunate that it looks like the damage was minimal. And that's where the cost would pile up most quick. And it's also where the expenses and the time would be the most concerning. Next steps, we're going to continue to have our staff assess facilities as staff gets much needed breaks here for the remainder of June and early July. Our campus staffs, they will start coming back in July, and we will definitely ask them to keep their eyes open and look for anything that doesn't seem within the norm at their campuses. We'll continue to make minor repairs with our team in addition to our summer projects that we're already undertaking. We will, like I say, have a full insurance assessment of our roof damages and make sure that we haven't missed anything. And if we do have big system damages, that we'll get those in the process of getting those taken care of. We'll assess all of our warranties where applicable. We'll request, we are going to have a few items that we're starting the process of either getting bids back or we're going to have to go out for RFPs. Those will be the larger projects, the fence repair, some of the lighting repair. And I will say we had some just equipment that was damaged, which is usually the case whenever storms come through during any type of athletic seasons. We had some soccer goals that were destroyed, some of the batting screens and portable batting cages and things of that nature. So athletics has started to reorder those items so that we'll have them in place whenever kids come back in the fall. And then the last thing we'll have to do is after we go through bidding or RFP processes where we do have major repairs, we'll go ahead and start those repairs as quickly as possible. So I would anticipate in the July meeting some over 50 items for the fencing repair and probably the lighting repair, and then probably a more comprehensive tally of what our total damages are to that point. So right now, our main expenses have been to reorder some of the equipment that was destroyed, start getting the bids for the majors, and then we'll have a report on what our the total bill was for our restoration, water extraction, cleanup efforts, and those sorts of things that we couldn't handle. And so you can see in this picture on the discussion slide, that's the center field fence there at Lake Belton High School that was blown over. So pretty substantial winds to blow over a 8 or 10 foot metal fence that's only about 4 years old. So we saw a lot of high activity there. So I'd open it up for questions, discussion, and see if there's any additional information that we could get for you guys.
Any questions? Yeah.
Forgive me if this is a bad question, but because this was a natural disaster, do we get to tap into any of the benefits of FEMA or just without? Because I can imagine this is going to be a costly renovation of lots of things.
We're going to pursue every avenue that we can, and we'll make sure and file those reports and make sure that when we have known costs that we get all those submitted. I don't know for sure. I wouldn't anticipate a lot of aid in that regard, but we'll definitely pursue any option that we can federally or statewide because of the declaration of disaster. We'll know more probably when we know actually what all of our actual costs are. So within a month or so, that should become much clearer.
Mr. Morgan, I just want to thank you and the facilities and grounds for all the hard work you all did. I mean, it was the next morning we had substantial updates on what had happened. So You guys are working around the clock, and we see that. Thank you.
And it's hard to explain. And we've tried to do as much as we can for our community support. Immediately trying to allow our facilities to be used for recovery, and if our parking lots were needed for distribution of supplies, materials, water, food, even having the FEMA location at Tarver Elementary right now. Our schools, we can't explain it, but our schools really fared much better than in some of the neighborhoods where some of the most significant damage was. And I think that is, so our facilities are well maintained. They were built well. They were built right, but we also had some luck involved too, because I know some other districts in the area had much more significant damage than we did. So we're thankful for that, and for our team that has worked very tirelessly trying to make sure we don't miss anything on this.
Any other
Thank you.
comments? Yeah, I'll just echo Rucker's statement. I mean, the facilities team and the grounds team, top notch. I mean, so proud of what that team does under normal circumstances, and to see them come through, the couple times that, they've had to respond has been absolutely amazing in an emergency. So thank you.
We're very proud of them. That good people on those teams, good leadership on those teams, and they really love Belton ISD.
All right. I think next up, we've got an academic progress report.
So Gabby Nino is coming to the podium, our Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning. She's going to be sharing graduation data, industry-based certification data, and some of our STAR scores and end of course that are starting to come in. So we're excited for this presentation, Gabby.
Good evening, board. I am looking forward to visiting with you all this evening about some of the highlights and celebrations we have related to our academic progress this school year. The last time we were all in the room together, that I had the pleasure of being with you all, was at our high school graduation. And so I want to start this evening by talking about our graduates who have really come to the completion of their journey of a graduate in Belton ISD. And we're going to start with our graduation rates. We are reporting to you all our 4-year graduation rates. And so that means students who entered in 9th grade and acquired their diploma within 4 years. And what you'll see is that our anticipated graduation rate for the 24 school year is a 98.6. We are very proud of that. We are very proud of our graduates, and we are very proud of everyone in the system that has poured into them, including their families and community. I'd also like to call to your attention, look, we're struggling, so y'all are helping me out. I appreciate it. But the graduation rate over time, I want to call your attention to our comparison. On the far left is Belton ISD. In the middle, in the dark gray, is the region rates, and on the far right is the state rates in light gray. So from 21 all the way to 23, and what I anticipate is we'll continue to excel with our graduation rates. Belton ISD has exceeded the region and state and the percentage of students that we graduate in 4 years. So we're super proud of that. Want to also highlight industry-based certifications. We talked about this a bit at our last board meeting, and I just wanted to really quantify with some percentages for you. You can see clearly over the last few years the climb in the number of students who are acquiring industry-based certifications. We see an 18% gain since the year over year from 2023. So very proud of that gain, a growth from 28% to 46% in the 24 school year. I did note below that as well, the percentage rate is our seniors. The number below is the total number of students across grade levels that earn those industry-based certificates. I mentioned to you at our last meeting that we don't just earn those as seniors, and so I wanted to make sure to share that with you all as well. We had 807 students who earned industry-based certifications this year, and we are super proud of that. I was thrilled last year, and to see the climb this year really made me proud. And I know it did our community as well. Let's talk about our end of course exams. These are our STAR end of course exams that students are required to take in the courses Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, English 2, and U.S. History. This data has just started coming in over the last week and a half. And so this is an early report on that data for you, but I want to draw your attention to the far right. On the far right, you will see comparison from 23 to 24, and then the change between those 2 years. As you know, we really were emphasizing this year an increase in students' opportunities to engage in critical thinking, which would result in them demonstrating a higher degree of mastery of learning. And at every reporting category, approaches, meets, and masters, we see gains through all of our EOCs. The only area that we don't see a gain overall is in U.S. history. There was a gain in approaches and a slight decline of 3% in the area of meets in U.S. history. Now, what I want to share with you all is you will see, and I'll share in greater depth in our July board meeting, but you're starting to hear in press releases that across the state, we saw no change for districts across the state in the areas of Algebra 1, Biology, and English 1. In English 2, there was a slight gain at the meets level, and there was a similar decline in U.S. history at the state level. So just wanted to highlight those gains for us and celebrate the progress that our students have made and our high school campuses with their emphasis on critical thinking and improving meets and masters rates. Now, there's a lot on this slide. So I don't want you to dig into all the numbers right here, right now. I think there's some beauty in looking at this from afar. What you will see is 4 different data visualizations for each of the different end of course areas, and then the subpopulation, the student groups that we are also measuring progress in. So you'll see reported military connected students. We've seen a significant gain in our students who are military connected, so we've worked to make sure we're monitoring their progress this year. You'll see our economically disadvantaged students, our emerging bilingual students, as well as our special education students. What I really want to call your attention to is the far right, and you will see that there's, I'll call it very technical language, a squishing of lines. Those lines are coming closer together because we're seeing evidence of narrowing the gaps in our student groups. And so I do want to acknowledge that this is a ton on this screen, but across content areas, we see narrowing of the gaps in our student groups on our end of course exams. The very first one is English 1 and English 2, and we're going to really need to be digging in deep there. It is the place where we see the least change in our system in English 1 and English 2. And so our team is committed to digging into the root cause of that, better understanding that, and setting some targets to make growth in that area as well. Now, I want to talk to you about House Bill 3 at the elementary level. We really just started getting this data in last week. And so again, I want to dig in deeper with you in July when we come to talk about academic progress. House Bill 3, we set targets and it was 5 years. We have not made adjustments to those targets in the 5 years. That would conclude in 2024. We all know that during that time, we had some pretty significant impact on our system, especially with the pandemic. And those targets have not been adjusted since then. I am going to report out to you tonight that we did not meet our House Bill 3 goals in reading or math. And I also want to say that with a caveat of the entire state is seeing a decline in content areas 3 through 8 in every subject area and every grade level. I also want to share with you all that throughout this school year, I've been reporting to you on our progress as measured by internal measures on our universal screeners, as well as predictors on the STAR interim assessment that is provided to us by the state. On our last, do you all see what's on the screen? They are trying to shut me down. That is my time limit. Can we make sure that doesn't happen? Without the data, I'll give you a little bit of narrative. When I came to you with our mid-year interim scores, we were predicted in math to perform at 49% in meets and masters, and that would be a gain for us. Our actual performance was at 41. So we did not meet the prediction of STAR interim, and we came in below our House Bill 3 goal in the area of math that's associated with third grade reading. What we're going to do moving forward in July, when I come back for academic progress report, we are going to bring new House Bill 3 targets to you. And we will talk about why and how we got to the place with our recommendation. Our targets will be targets that are motivating to us to push and also attainable for us to reach. And what we'll do moving forward is that we will continue to come back to you annually to move that target to 5 years out. We will not have 5 years from now. We will adjust every year so that you have 5 years in front of you. Does that make sense? While they're pulling up, I'll speak to you and then I can show the visual as well. In reading, we also did not meet our target. Our projection based on our STAR interim assessments was that we would get to 60% in the area of reading. And we did not meet that target. Our outcomes as measured by STAR were at 47% at meets and masters, while we were projected to be at 60%. The state saw a 2% decrease in reading as well. And so again, we're going to be digging into the data at a deeper level and really try to understand what the root cause, not only in our system, but in the tools that we use and the resources that we use across the state to measure student progress.
Gabby, real quick. So our students take STAR interim assessments.
They do.
So tell us a little bit about the STAR interim assessment. And I think I heard you say it had a prediction of student performance that on the end of the year STAR is not coming, is not
Absolutely.
aligning. Can you talk to
Absolutely.
us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so the STAR interim assessment has what we have learned and what we have been encouraged to do is use this as a predictor of student performance on STAR. It is intended to be constructed like STAR. It is intended to be an assessment along the way that we can make adjustments instructionally at the student level and the campus and district level. It is built like the STAR assessment, and it is reported to be a predictor of your performance on the actual state assessment. The last time I reported to you all on student interim scores, they were taken in February. And so they were before we had even covered all the content, and it was predicting that our performance would be higher than it was.
Who creates the STAR interim assessment? Is it TEA? Do they create that for us as well?
Yes, they work with a vendor who creates it, but yes, TEA does create that assessment and push it out to our districts.
Is it the same vendor that administers the
Let me turn to Holly.
end of
It
year
is the
STAR?
same vendor, yes.
So
Yes.
same vendors, TEA resource.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. And we have worked, I'll tell you, we've worked really hard. I've reported to you all this year as well. We have really worked to improve our data systems and practices. We have been really using the data to help us make adjustments at the classroom level, campus level, curriculum. And so it was surprising to us to see the discrepancy between what the interim predicted for us and what our outcomes are. Now, I'm going to just say again, we are just getting this data in. And so just trust that we'll be doing a deep dive into that data and come back with what are our recommendations for specific adjustments that we're going to make in support of our students.
Can you remind us, Gabby, what's changed with the STAR assessment?
Yes. So last year, about this time actually, I was sharing with you all that the structure of the test changed. And so there are constructed responses asking students to respond in writing to assessment questions. Some of the question constructs changed as well. All testing is done online now, where there was more flexibility in online and paper before. But those are the major changes that have happened.
Have there been any changes to how the constructed responses have been scored, like scoring processes or any of those things changing as well?
Yes, and you may have heard a bit of this publicly, But there is an AI generated tool that is used to score student responses on assessments. So one of the steps that we'll be taking, Dr. Golden, is looking at writing samples and how students scored and how we would have provided instruction related to their responses in the classroom, any adjustments we'll make. Yes. Any questions further I can answer about our House Bill 3 and our House for reading and math? Okay, I am going to, Mike and I will do a report next. And just as a reminder, I'm going to come back to you in July with proposed new House Bill 3 goals that will be motivating goals for us, but also stretch goals. We're going to talk about House Bill 3 as it relates to CCMR as well. If you recall, the target for House Bill 3 CCMR was set at 100%. That is a stretch goal for us, and absolutely we want 100% of our students to be college, career, and military ready. That has been a stretch goal for our system, and while we've seen significant gains and consistent gains over time, we are not at 100% of our students meeting CCMR. As I shared with you all last month, there are changes within how you can meet CCMR indicators, such as our IBCs, the requirements for those. And so we're going to continue to monitor those changes over time as well. And we will bring back House Bill 3 goals related to CCMR for you all that will be 5 years out, will be realistic, motivating stretch goals as well. For 100% of our House Bill 3, it is not something that we were able to attain at this time. I also want to draw your attention to 2024. You'll see that there's a 76% and then a bar listed above it at 82%. In the fall, I shared with you that as we were improving our data systems and strengthening the tools that we have in front of us, Holly Moore actually did a fantastic job and found a potential error for us in our data. As you know, CCMR data is in the lag. And so a PEIMS submission had already been in for our CCMR data for the previous school year. And as we implemented a new system, Holly found a concern about reporting. And we were concerned that our data might not be accurate. We pursued every avenue possible, working with our Region Center, working with some state partners, and appealed to TEA to make some adjustments in our PEIM reporting, and that was not permitted for us to make an adjustment. So we did see that there was, you could see it flatline, 76% as a district for CCMR rate, but what was actually achieved by students, the indicators that were achieved by students were at 82%. And what we're projecting for this school year, that when we got our accountability rating in 2025, that we will be at 84% for CCMR.
Okay, Gabby, real quickly. So when it says projected 25, that is based on our 23-24 graduates?
Yes, we
Okay.
will not get our CCMR ratings for them until 2025. Any questions about that? Okay, so just some high level, want to tell you all that we feel very confident in the steps that we are putting in place that are research-based and strong, solid, instructionally informed practices that we're putting in place to support intentional planning for students at the classroom level, to increase critical thinking, and to make sure that we are focusing on those prioritized standards to increase the mastery of learning for students. We are doing this through 3 primary categories of our curriculum resources, making sure that they are aligned and that they are exactly what teachers need to design experiences for students in the classroom to lead to mastery. And we've been working very hard on improving professional learning, that it is curriculum embedded learning and tied to what teachers may use and execute at the classroom level immediately. And then we've been working very hard on strengthening our collaborative partnerships across the system at all levels. So with that, Any questions for our academic progress report?
I just have a comment. I just want to thank you, Gabby, for everything you presented. There's a lot of data here. There's a lot to celebrate in the classroom. And going back to Mr. Norwood's comment earlier, it's evident that our teachers work so hard, and we wish we could give them more for what they're doing, but they're putting forth a lot of effort, and we're seeing a lot of growth. And in those areas that you pointed out where we need to grow even further, the data is here and it's very transparent. So I appreciate you for that.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have just a quick one. Gabby, the STAR scores, that's preliminary.
It is preliminary.
Okay, when will we get our final?
So we will have our final mid-July, and I'll be able to report out to you all in July.
All right. I got to go through a couple real fast. Sorry, I was saving them up.
That's okay.
So I'm going back to slide 20, which is the graduation rates. 98.6% is absolutely awesome. I know the final tally's not in. I mean, massive applaud to everybody who has moved this number. It's hard to move this number. And so that's huge. The same thing on slide 21 with the IBCs, right? The industry-based certifications. This is a massive jump in industry-based certifications. And I think what we need to be aware of is the way that this is, I think, yeah, maybe you correct me, right? I think the way that this is going to be calculated in the future years, right? Like there's some slight tweaks, right, in the coming years. And so this is going to be a moving goalpost that we need to make sure that we're staying up with, right? Is that your understanding as well?
It is.
Yeah.
And Chris, if I could interject there, I think you're making a really important point right now, because it is a moving goalpost. We need to come back to you all every year and say, here are our targets for 5 years out. We have not adjusted those since they were established before the pandemic. And so that's caused us some challenges right now. And if there's changes and we're coming back to you every year to communicate those, then we can adjust with reasonable targets as well.
Yeah. So looking at 22 with the end of course exams, I see a lot of great stories here. I also wonder what happened to U.S. history. But when I say that, right, I say that, but I also look at it, like if you look at approaches, that's 97%, right? I mean, the approaches is the highest out of all of them, right? And so when you take a look at that and step back, right, even though we've got red on there, there is actually something really good to kind of show there. You know, but this is, oddly enough, this is the one area I've actually received parent feedback on is, hey, how come my kid didn't do better on the history STAR test, right? When, you know, this is what they're doing in the class, right? So I don't know. I don't know if there's something weird or wonky going on with the way that the test has changed and things like that. But that's definitely a weird outlier. But I've got a lot of good progress in some of these other areas, which oddly enough, like doesn't match up with like the third grade data that we looked at, right? And so like we're seeing like great gains in some of these areas, right? But it's not like full stack in the system quite yet, right? Absolutely. So that's interesting to me. I love 23. That's we'll call that one the spaghetti chart, right? So there's a lot of good data to chew on.
I thought you were talking about year 23. Let me go to slide 23.
Oh yeah. We'll call that one the spaghetti chart. I mean, I think looking at this as far is the right way to do it, right? The first thing I did when I looked at it is I just kind of squinted my eyes, right? And I looked at the pattern. And there's a couple really interesting patterns that show up when you look at the data that way, right? And particularly from the 2022 to 2023 year, which also happens to be the redesign, right? And so there's lots of questions there, right? Like how much of this is the redesign, right? Versus how much of this is like what we're doing, right? It's really like, I don't know how to answer that question, right? But the great news is, right, from 23 to 24, if you squint at that, right, and almost all of them, like those lines are increasing, right? So even, you know, so massive increase the year before, whether it's redesign or not, I don't know, but it still continues to increase. So I think I see a lot of good data here down to some of our special populations, right? Looking at the HB3 data, that's just a mystery to me, right? And so, I mean, to sum up the whole thing, like I think there's a lot of great things happening and there's still work to be done. Right, is you know, kind of how I look at all of this data. For CCMR, I'm looking at 26, slide 26. This is another place where we got to make sure that we're telling this story, right? We look at 46% in 2018, and let's use the 76% number for 2024, right? That's a 65% increase in CCMR, right? If we use the 82% number, that's a 78% increase in CCMR. That is massive. That is a huge improvement over a very short time, and something that while yes, our aspirational goal is 100, we have moved this line in a massive way. We got to continue doing what we're doing, right? And continue to find ways to tweak that to reach that aspiration. If we've done this in this short a time, I see no reason why we can't hit the aspiration, right? May not be next year, but we're close, right? And so, thank you. I love it every time you come and share the data with us. I would love to see the raw data in some cases, but maybe I don't know. But thank you so much for your team for putting this together. I think we got a lot to chew on, and looking forward to digging further into this in July. Any other parting questions? No? Okay. All right. Thank you. I think our next report is on the 2023-2024 key progress measures and proposed 24-25 key progress measure changes.
Yes, and so Gabby's going to stay at the podium and Mike Morgan is going to join her. And they are going to go through each of our 23-24 key progress measures to let you know our progress at the end of the year on each of those. And I think Gabby's going to kick us off.
I am. So we're going to use this evening to share some highlights from our 23-24 key progress measures, as well as transition to proposing or introducing to our proposed ones for the coming school year. So within the area of goal 1, our KPM was to establish a customer service standards measurement by December of 2023, and provide aligned professional learning. That goal was complete, and just want to highlight a couple of things that came from that work. We've developed some customer service mantras that will be embedded into our work next year. Service equals success. Connect with care and elevate every experience. So these mantras will propel us into the 24-25 school year, and will inform some of our work as we continue to make improvements in the area of customer service. For goal 2, we just walked through some of goal 2. The first goal will mark as, or KPM will mark as complete. Our goal was to increase the level of critical thinking and perseverance in Belton ISD classrooms as measured by observation tools that are based on our Journey of a Graduate competency rubrics with a baseline established by January. We shared that with you all in January, have developed some really phenomenal tools that will continue to be used in the coming school year. That KPM was marked as complete. The second piece of goal 2 is meeting House Bill 3 progress measures. And as I just reported, those were not met at this time.
With goal 3, we set a key progress measure about that 100% of campuses and departments would design and implement an onboarding plan, and that would be done by June of 2024. I'm glad to say, I'm happy to say that that is a completed goal. We went through several steps last year, and a lot of work went into creating onboarding plans, but obviously we want to create tools that will help us do exactly what the goal states. We want to retain and support our team of employees once they're here. We did some professional learning around what quality onboarding looks like. We got input from current employees and new employees. What do you need? What did we do well? What did we not do well whenever you came on to our team? We provided tools and resources. So during some of our leadership teams, and this was not a process where a singular template was sent out and said, this is your onboarding plan. It's customized to each department. So the onboarding for a new teacher, the onboarding for a campus administrator, for a custodian, for a member of our grounds team, or even a campus or a district level administrator is unique to that position and is tailored to give them what we felt like, based on the research and feedback, they would need to be successful. And then we provided feedback and coaching. So we had sessions where leaders would come together and they would look and pick apart each other's onboarding plans and, how to make them better and how to implement them over time. And you'll see the next step in that progression as we talk about goal 3 for this year's KPMs. And Gabby and I are going to split goal 4 because there's a component about learning opportunities for teachers and then a component about student engagement.
So I'm going to jump in on the first KPM, which is around 75% of teachers reporting that their learning opportunities were provided to support their growth and development by June of 2024. This KPM, the baseline was established based on one question on our employee engagement survey that asked them about almost the exact wording of KPM, but around their personal growth. We did make gains from that 68% to 71% of employees reporting that they have those learning opportunities. I do want to share, so that was recorded as met some because the way we report it, it's not that we met none. We are making growth in that area. But I do want to reference back to the workshop that Mike and I provided around Goal 4 a couple of months ago. We have learned so much around professional learning this year by implementing a feedback system that's ongoing. And what we are seeing is some significant trends that when our staff is in role-specific learning that is job embedded, curriculum embedded for teachers specifically, when there's ongoing loops to that learning, that it is continuous and they can come back to it, as well as they have choice in those learning opportunities that they experience. We see significantly higher rates in those choice sessions that follow that model. In fact, some of the data that I showed you at that workshop was that at that point in time, we had 93% of teachers reporting that the learning they were engaging in was meeting their needs. So just wanted to call that out to you all, that we did make progress in that KPM. Notable progress, and we will continue digging into that data as well as in our employee engagement survey and looking for specific areas, even specific teams that we want to support to improve the experiences, professional learning, and those site locations as well.
The second KPM for Goal 4 revolved around identifying barriers that would for student participation in athletics, fine arts, clubs, and organizations. We know that students who are engaged at their campuses are more likely to have higher academic achievement and are going to want to come to school every day and get excited about school. It's important to know this was not just for our extracurricular sports, fine arts, CTE. We went all the way down to the elementary level and identified clubs and student organizations, campus activities, things that are above and beyond the regular academic instruction that connects kids to their schools. We used a standard of a dashboard, and we applied that to each campus from pre-K all the way up to our secondary campuses. Once that data was inputted and we could see where, and that was a snapshot data. It's not ongoing, and it is data that it will improve or improves as the year goes on, but it was a snapshot data from October and November of how many kids were engaged then. So in some cases, you may not have a club or an activity that started until the spring semester, so there wouldn't have been student engagement in that activity at that time. But as we refine that process, we'll be able to capture more of a end-year data where it monitors student participation or engagement throughout the year. But once we had our dashboards complete and we could see the range of engagement or the range of participation in each level, then we had focus groups on campuses where students talked with staff around if they were engaged or not, and if they weren't, what were some of the conditions that led to them not being as engaged as they would like to be. We've taken those and themed out and came up with the barriers that students identified and staff identified as barriers to participation. And then we are working on eliminating those barriers so that as we track that data over time, we can see that participation and engagement continue to rise. In Goal 5, we also had 2 KPMs. Goal 5 KPM 1 is complete, and that was to complete a comprehensive district facility master plan by January of 2024. And really, we've spent some time on this in workshop and in some other avenues, but what we really have and what we're proud of is a comprehensive list of our needs. We have a comprehensive list of when we think we're going to, those needs are going to become a reality for the district. And then we have a comprehensive list of what we believe the pricing for those needs will be in future, in current and in future terms. I will say tonight, we're in a beautiful new facility that was the result of some planning that happened years ago. And what a beautiful place we're in tonight, Hubbard Branch. And we hope that this work around a master plan will help guide us to make good, sound recommendations to you and our community on what our needs will be in the future. So happy to report that that goal was complete. It's not finished in our planning process, but it does give us great data to move forward and continue that work. And then finally, our key progress measure 2, Goal 5, was to establish, can we go back for a second? to establish a program evaluation system and tools for implementation. I'm happy to say that we also completed that task. Melissa Lafferty led a multi-department team to work through that throughout the year. We are now in a position where we can start putting that program evaluation system to use, and I'll discuss coming up in this year's Goal 5 KPM on how we intend to do that.
So before we move forward on next year's proposed board, do you have any questions or comments about the 23-24 key progress measures? Okay. Gabby.
All right, so we have been working with our district leadership team and really have adopted this continuous improvement model of Plan, Do, Study, Act. And what we've been working very diligently to do is to think through the lens of system alignment in our improvement efforts, starting with our district goals, then our KPMs, key progress measures, and then our campuses have been planning campus objectives as well simultaneously. So what we want to introduce, Mike and I want to introduce, is the proposed KPMs for the next school year for 24-25. Next slide, please. Most of these KPMs are an extension of the work that was started this year, going to a deeper implementation level. For Goal 1, we're proposing that our KPM is that 100% of Belton ISD departments and campuses will collect and analyze baseline customer service satisfaction data using the district measurement tool that was developed this year, and develop and implement data-driven improvement plans by January 2025. So that customer service tool was developed this year. Professional learning happened across our system, and some mantras were developed. Those will propel us into the future where we get a good baseline of what the experience is at our campuses and departments, and set some really strong improvement efforts or improvement plans for customer service with Goal 1. For Goal 2, this is a continuation as well. In January, we reported to you a 63 percentage point was our baseline related to critical thinking. So we want to increase the level of critical thinking in Belton ISD classrooms, again, as measured by our classroom observations using the Journey of a Graduate competency rubric, from 63 to 70 by June of 2025. In addition, we want to report to you that we meet our House Bill 3 goals, and I will bring those targets back to you again in July.
For Goal 3, we propose that by June of 2025, 100% of new employees' onboarding plans will be formally assessed at 30, 60, and 90 days post-hire and at year-end, with documented feedback used to identify and implement improvements. We believe there will be several. It's the natural continuation. We spent last year developing sound onboarding plans that would help us support our employees. We do think that it will help with employee engagement and retention. We would like for this process to improve performance and productivity. Tailored development and training for each department and campus specific to each type of position and employee that we hire. In a consistent onboarding experience where a custodian in one campus has a similar onboarding experience to a custodian on another campus, or a teacher, and so forth. And then continuous improvement of our onboarding practices. We want to, by doing some formal data assessment and collecting of data, we will be able to tell what's working, what's not, looking at retention rates, looking at employee satisfaction rates and things of that nature, and always be able to figure out where we can do better and how we can support new employees in a better way, not only when they initially come on, but through 30, 60, 90, and throughout the year. For Goal 4, by June of 2025, we will increase the number of student and staff recognition and celebrations by 25%. Baseline data will be established by October 2024. One of the measurements that we continuously try to gather from our employee surveys is to what measure do employees feel valued, supported, and challenged to grow. And we do feel like we want to take a year and explore opportunities to really recognize the great work that students and staff are doing, and to increase those opportunities So we will, like I say, this fall, we'll be finding out what are we currently doing to recognize students and staff? What type of peer recognition programs do we have in place? What type of formal department or campus recognitions do we have in place? And what type of community type recognitions may be happening? And we want to increase those opportunities. A lot of these are to like I said, to recognize good work, to recognize those who support others. And many of these will really not cost anything other than being deliberate about recognizing the things. We feel like some advantages to this will be to enhance morale and engagement. It could also lead to improved retention rates, encourage continuous improvement, strengthen relationships. And it's really a question of how can we get better at having our employees and kids feel valued, supported, and challenged to grow. And finally, in Goal 5, we want to implement the program evaluation that we discussed from last year's KPM2, and then choose our two highest leverage prioritized district programs to be identified and evaluated for improvement and resource optimization by June of 2025. We see program evaluation as an ongoing process. There has been different degrees of program evaluation in Belton ISD, but not a formal program evaluation process. We really think that we can, by using this process, we can enhance program effectiveness. We want to ensure accountability and transparency. We all want to know what's going on with our programs from an element of how productive and effective are they, what types of results are we getting, and what kind of cost is the district incurring to keep that program in place. We want to see strategic alignment between our programs, that we're all working towards the same goals, and that we're not have overlap in programs where we could be a better financial steward and optimize or maximize the district's resources, which is one of our premises of Goal 5. I will remind you that tonight we are not asking for an action on these items. We are presenting, these are the recommended KPMs moving into next year. As with anything that we will bring back to you next month for action on, we would love to have a good discussion tonight and answer any questions that you may have about the 24-25 proposed key progress measures.
I just have a quick comment. I'm excited about Goal 4. You know, during these board meetings, we recognize some really great students. All of our students are great. And so by increasing the opportunity to recognize even more students, it's great to recognize the top, but sometimes those middle students are just doing wonderful things too. So whatever baseline is chosen, I hope that's something that we all get to have some discussion about. I would love to see more of our students that are representative of each and every.
Thank you. Yes.
Any other questions? Two things. So we'll have the opportunity, I guess, next meeting I heard to kind of look at the goals and the key progress measures. One of the things it's kind of struck me as I've listened to this today is I might be interested in swapping Goal 1 and Goal 2, like the order of Goal 1 and Goal 2. Not changing the goal, right, but swapping the order of Goal 1 and Goal 2. Just from a student first, student outcome first kind of point of view, right? That's kind of where I'm thinking. So I don't know that we need to hash through that here, but just an interesting thought as I was listening to this. And then the other thing, like as we look at the key progress measures in each one of these, like, can we have some conversation next time about how these tie back to student outcomes, right? I believe they do, right? And I could sit here, I can make the argument for each one of these, and how they tie back to student outcomes. But for the casual observer, they might not see it for some of these, right? And so can we have some conversation when we look at this next time about that tie as well?
Absolutely. I just have a comment. I think there's so much great work going on in Belton, specifically around kind of the big work, the vision, the goals, the values and beliefs, the journey of a graduate. And I think y'all are really working on the things that we believe in, which is the continuous improvement. And looking at these side by side, y'all just scratched the surface of what you worked on this year. And so really this next year, it's an extension of what you're doing. And so I applaud you for living out our belief of continuous improvement. Yeah, we did some great work, but there's still work to be done on that and to get better. Because I just think they're all great. I love our goals. I love our goals. I think it's just, that's what sets us forward. And that's what's all the great works that we're doing is you can always align. I know that's a big word y'all use, is the alignment. But it does. It's important that what we're doing is what we're also saying we're doing. And so I appreciate all the work that y'all are doing and just look forward to just the continued work, scratching even a little bit deeper and on this work. So thank you for that continuous improvement mindset.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's it. I think we're going to the superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. Thank you to Gabby and Mike, the keep all the work at the key progress measures that from 23-24 is the hard work of our teachers, our staff, our principals, this team for doing a lot of work in these areas. And so just super thankful for everything everyone puts into the work in our key progress measures and moving us towards our goals. And so a big shout out to our team. Next is superintendent report. So I'm going to go, I am excited about this. So since the last time we met, a lot of really good work is happening. I'm not sure if this is working or you're advancing me. Okay, it's you. Okay, awesome. I'm going to let you do that. So we're going to keep going. Okay, so we're going to stop here for just a second. So what I love about starting with our vision each and every time and being able to tell stories with pictures from the past month is this one in particular, when we think about empowering each and every learner to pursue their dreams and having a journey of a graduate competencies. We talk about how that starts from pre-K all the way through 12th grade and even beyond. And so these are just some quick pictures of our really youngest children in our system and the amazing learning that happens academically. Also in PE, I had the opportunity to play with some of our students in PE recently. It was amazing. But also all the way through to graduation. That's an image from graduation. And then I love that we have staff in the center of that because none of these things are possible without our amazing staff. We do have an engaged workforce, and in the next slide, just want to hit a little bit, and I know Mike mentioned, but incredibly proud of our community's response to our recent storms that impacted so many in our community. Within our own staff, we had at least 5 staff members who had total complete losses of their homes. And we know that those are just a few compared to also the number within our community. And so not only do we have staff working their full-time jobs, but they're volunteering. They helped pass out food. They helped pass out ice and water, as many of our community members did as well. So I'm incredibly proud of our community. Yes, Tarver is a FEMA site, so I believe that was able to get launched this week. So we're incredibly happy to partner. They really wanted a location that was near the area that was really hard hit. And so, well, we know lots of areas were hit hard in our community, particularly on our West Temple side. Tarver just seemed like the right location for our community. And also just wanted to do a quick shout out. While this is engaged workforce, it's also about partnerships, and can't begin to tell you how thankful we are for many of our partners. But one in particular, Walmart, just asked us, what do our staff members that lost everything need? Tell us what they need and we're going to support them. And they did just that. And so incredibly thankful for that support. And I know those stories go on with lots of our community partners. In our next slide, also, we had graduation, and although because of the storms and electricity challenges at our venue for graduation, we were able to graduate over 1,000 students, and it was an incredible celebration of the very hard work. Those graduation rates represent the incredible work of our teachers and our staff and these amazing students. And so I know many of us were able to be there and celebrate alongside these incredible students and their families. So we're super thankful we were able to do it. Although a week later, we were able to do that. Also, yes, we saw a short little video at the beginning of the board meeting, and these are images from the learning experiences that our students are getting this summer. And actually, I have slightly different numbers. We actually have over 1,500 students that are engaged in summer learning. So we have 850 in SAIL, 200 SOAR, 517 in our high school program. And I will tell you, walking in the door for elementary summer school, every single staff member I ran into had the biggest smile on their face. The students were smiling. The students were having an amazing time engaged in hands-on learning. So I'm so proud of our staff, our administrators, teachers, and staff who are putting on incredible things for our students in the summer. It's a lot of students we're serving this summer. And we couldn't do it without these amazing staff members. And so, again, just some small clips of our staff members working this summer to create these experiences. I got to talk to teachers and staff members who are putting so much time into these activities in the summer. And again, to see them smiling and happy and engaging with our students is such a celebration. You know, often you don't think about students celebrating going to summer school. Right? That's not often what you will hear. But I will tell you, I've had parents staff stop and say about the incredible design of the summer programming this summer. And I think you can tell that from the numbers. So with that, I think the final piece I have in here is just our continued focus on continuous improvement. I don't know why I'm standing like that. I'm a little embarrassed by that picture. It looks like I'm about to fall over. Don't even know what to say about that, but I love that shirt. I'm fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. So that is a great shirt that was given to me after graduation or at graduation. And that is our administrator leadership retreat. We actually pivoted a little bit. We were supposed to go to UMHB. We were going to be on site, had an entire day planned of lots of really good learning. But we made a slight pivot because of what everybody has experienced in the last month. And I will tell you what a joy it was to all the cabinet members and team. We bought the food, we sat there and we made breakfast for our leaders. We created some just-in-time opportunities for them. Yes, some good professional learning, but also some just-in-time needs based on what they were going through at the time. We had campuses impacted with no power, campuses that had some of the leaking issues that Mike talked about, as well as each campus leader called every staff member, checking on them after the storm. Our district team members called their team members, checking on them after the storms, on top of all of the end of the school year stuff and going to people's homes and helping them. So just super proud that we were able to pivot. The survey results were incredible. It obviously met our leaders' needs, and I'm really proud. And then you see them, of course, in the food line there. And you see them engaging and talking in professional learning that they actually designed for themselves in the moment. We did what was called an ed camp style professional learning, where they talked to us about what's your just-in-time needs. We were able to set that up, and within 30 minutes, they were in sessions, and we were supporting them, and they were supporting each other. So incredibly proud of our leaders through the last month and throughout this entire school year. And so with that, I think that's the last of my remarks. Just see if you have any questions. Okay. Thank you.
All right, no questions. We will go into the board highlights. So board, this is your opportunity to share any prominent highlights from the last month. I know we all just got back from SLI, so if you're not done processing all of that, we'll let you share some of that next time too, if you want. But we have any takers to share? Looks like record.
I just want to reiterate what Dr. Golden said, being able to be on campus a couple times at the high schools this summer. I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, the teachers and the students look like they're having a blast, and it's just a few days after school got out. And it just underscores what we have here at Belton ISD is really special.
Just one little thing, you know, in the past, in the not too distant past, summer school had a paradigm to it, right? You had to have done poorly to go to summer school. And that we have shifted that completely. We've turned that on its head. Like, we want you to come to summer school. Come have fun with us in summer school, to the point that kids have bought in, their families have bought in, and anybody who can comes to summer school. Anybody who wants to can come to summer school. And you can be making straight A's. It doesn't matter. We've got all kinds of levels of learning in summer school. So I'm so happy that it's successful, and I'm so happy that kids have a great time. And it seemed to me that the teachers and the administrators of it all enjoyed it as well. And also, what a joy to go to graduation. You know, that's what we do. That's why we're here, is to graduate people who are going to be productive citizens one day in this society. And every time we do that, all I do is just watch the parents, because that makes me the happiest, is to see those parents' joy. I've been through that several times myself, and I know what that feels like. So that was a joyful day, and I'm glad we finally got to get it done.
So like you just referenced, we came back from our conference just recently, and I always appreciate the learning opportunities, and you always get something that just sticks with you. I got a lot of some things, but I think the analogy of getting all the blueberries really sticks. I'll let one of you all elaborate, but we definitely get all the blueberries.
All right. I got to point out graduation. I know we've said it a couple of times, but in dad mode, I got to recognize how awesome it was to hand off a diploma to my oldest. Just such an awesome experience. Graduation, to see 1,000 kids walk across that stage, and the joy for their families. It's hard to ignore that. And then from an SLI, Summer Leadership Institute standpoint, I'm still processing my notes and sort of getting my I wonders together. Look out. But one of the things I always come away from the conference with, outside of a bunch of training credits, you're going down again, is a reiteration and rediscovery every year of just how awesome this group is, and how awesome Belton ISD is, and the working relationship that this group has together is always cemented. I think you in the audience may not know, we did take the opportunity to make a presentation. The presentation was probably one of the most awesome presentations we've been involved in as a group. They're typically an hour-long presentation, and people are anxious to leave the presentation to go to their next one. Actually, in our presentation, people were staying. They stayed overtime to listen to what we had to say, and I think a lot of great discussion and discovery there. And so it wasn't just this board coming together, right? But as this board also helping other boards from across the state. And so incredibly proud to sort of have that experience with you all, sharing your knowledge. And then, I had several presentations. I usually focus most of my coursework around sort of the budget and finance topics, also from like a student outcomes and performance monitoring kind of standpoint. So just to kind of foreshadow where my I wonders are going to be coming from, those areas. So awesome. Anybody else on oh, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add on to the highlight of the district. Not only is the academic portion of summer going so well, but I'd be remiss if we didn't give a shout out to our athletics and fine arts and I would love to hear the numbers. And I know that's really special to us, because my kids have participated in the Belton's camp stuff for years. And I know there's got to be hundreds upon hundreds of kids. And so I'm appreciative, and I know we all are, and I know our staff is, but just super proud of. And even after the storm, like my son went to the BHS baseball camp, and the very next week, but those coaches still had those kids come. They pivoted, and they had a great time. And so just proud of our athletics. And I'm still processing SLI. I'll probably come back next month with some notes, because there are some things that I think it would be worthwhile for us to discuss. But I agree, Chris. I come back just re-energized. That didn't sound right coming out, but just and encouraged that our district is doing really well compared to some, and what there is great work, and that we're a strong board. And I think there are some boards out there that actually have kind of come to us and looked to us for just that encouragement, that we're kind of a role model, if you will, for boards. And I don't mean that to be boastful, but we are. We don't always agree. I know we say that a lot, and we don't. But we are. We respect and just have a lot of respect for one another. So I'll probably come back next month with some SLI comments.
All right, last call. Okay, so that concludes this evening's reports. We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to pull an item from the consent agenda for discussion? All right, seeing no takers on that. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? All right. See Miss Lee and Miss Bass. All right. Is there any additional discussion on the consent agenda in any way? No? Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. All right. So that's a 6, which means the other two have to be 0-0. So all opposed, just to be sure. All right. Abstaining? None. Okay. 6-0-0. Motion passes. Okay. Board requests for new information or reports. At this time, are there any requests for new information or reports from the administrative team? I'm seeing no's all the way around. Okay. All right. Calendar of events. I think we've all gotten the calendar of events, so please make sure you take a look at that. So now we're going to move into public comments regarding non-agenda items. And so I've got one here. Becca, are there any additional? Okay. All right. So I've got to read something here before we get into public comments. So bear with me just for a second before we get started. In accordance with District Policy BED Local, any person wishing to address the Board of Trustees during public comments shall sign up before the meeting. And that has been done. I've got one here. In order to comply with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the board may not respond to comments or otherwise discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the meeting agenda. Participants will be allotted 3 minutes for public comment regarding items on the agenda, or in this case, items not on the agenda. We have a timer on the screen that shows your allotted time, and a sound will occur at the conclusion. The board shall not tolerate any disruption of the meeting by members of the public. When I call your name, please join us at the podium and state your name and city of residence for the record. The first, and it looks like only person, is Randall Schmidt. So the floor is yours, sir. We got it. There we go. We're good now.
Okay. Good evening, board. Dr. Golden. Dr. Golden and I know each other. We worked together in Round Rock ISD. She was a principal of my school at Grisham Middle School. I have a concern I'd like to talk to you about tonight. Foreign languages. At the end of the school year, we had a Spanish teacher for the district, okay? And that was the only class that I know of that was an in-person class, was Spanish. Unfortunately, the German teacher passed away early in the school year and was not replaced, okay? The French teacher left halfway through the school year, okay? And was not replaced, or it was done online, okay? For a school district this large, we should be offering more than just Spanish. And we need to step up the hiring and make sure that we get a good qualified teacher for French and German. Also encourage the district to look into ASL, American Sign Language, okay? The school district that I came from in my teaching career, the school was 650 people, 650 kids. And we had German, French, and Spanish at the middle school level, okay? At the high school, it was even larger. ASL, Chinese, Mandarin, okay? It was quite large, okay? I know that we're not as big as them, but we should finish the school year with offerings of at least German, French, and Spanish, okay? Other than that, please, I encourage you to look for qualified employees and really put that at a big top of the list, okay? I have grandkids that hopefully will be coming to this school, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schmidt, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody reaches out to you for some additional information. Unfortunately, we can't have it back and forth, but I wouldn't be surprised if you get a reach out. All right, let me find where we are. Bear with me for a second. Okay. All right. So it looks like we are in the closed session portion of the meeting here. Okay. So the time is now 7:55. And the board is now going to go into closed session for a couple items here. So consultation with attorney, Texas Government Code Section 551.071. A student disciplinary matter, Texas Government Code Section 551.082. Personnel, Texas Government Code Section 551.074. And lastly, selection of office, and this is not matching, right? Okay. All right, I'm gonna read through these items again here. So we've got a student disciplinary matter, Texas Government Code Section 551.082, followed by personnel, Texas Government Code Section 551.074. Third item, consultation with attorney, Texas Government Code Section 551.071. And then last item, deliberations about real property, Texas Government Code Section 551.072. So I think I got all of the accurate ones for today. I went off of here. Okay, all right. So the last four that I read, that's what we're going in for. All right. So the board will now, where we headed, we're headed out, right? We're headed out of this room. So the board will now take a recess to go into closed session. All right. Thank you.